Lake Lanier is probably one of the most popular lakes in the entire state of Georgia. With 692 miles of shoreline and covering an estimated 37,000 acres, it's easy to love. Being a native of the area for the past 40 years, I've seen some major changes over the past few decades. So make sure you stick with me till the end, because I'm going to share a couple of points that you need to know if you're thinking about buying a home on Lake Lanier and how it could save you thousands. Hi, I'm Ashley Lazarian, a realtor selling the suburbs north of Atlanta for the last 18 years, helping people like you make a move. One of the key reasons that Lake Lanier is so popular is its location and convenience. The majority of Lake Lanier sits in Forsyth and Hall counties, with the south end of the water being only 50 miles north of Atlanta. You can jump on Highway 400 or 85 and be to the city in approximately 40 minutes. The south end of the lake in Beaufort and southern parts of Cumming and Flowery Branch, they tend to be a bit more populated. There's restaurants on the water, more docks and marinas, and all around, just a bit busier. If you drive a little bit further north, you're going to get into an area of the lake that's a little bit more relaxed. So you've got Murrayville, Gainesville, Dawsonville, and those areas are going to be a little bit more rural areas. So you don't have all of the hustle and bustle. They're not as densely populated. The key factor of this, though, is considering the fact that you're going to be a little bit further away from all of those modern conveniences, such as grocery stores, shopping, restaurants, things of that nature. Murrayville is by far going to be the most rural because it's on the north side of the water. That being said, keep in mind you're going to be about 20 minutes to a grocery store. So if you're thinking about that area, it's just something that you want to keep in mind. On the south end, you're definitely going to be paying a premium for being close to highways for commuting, restaurants, shopping. You're kind of getting your cake and eating it too, but you're definitely going to pay for it. When Lake Lanier was created back in the 50s, it was really more of a weekend getaway for people that were trying to get away from the city. The suburbs out here weren't suburbs. It was really people that worked and lived in Atlanta. The suburbs in the 50s and 60s were Chamblee and Dunwoody. Suwanee, Beaufort, Cumming, none of that really existed as we know it today. With that, Lanier became a place of main home dwellings and not just weekend bungalows, which increased pricing exponentially. The last few years, prices have skyrocketed, but that's really across the board. Our problem right now is lack of inventory. Currently, there are about 100 lake homes on the market for sale that have docks, starting at about $5.9 million. Big range in pricing, right? There's a few things you really need to keep in mind if you're thinking about buying a home on Lake Lanier. First of all, please keep in mind what I just mentioned before. Lake Lanier was created in the 50s. You're going to find a lot of 50s and 60s bungalows around the lake. They're smaller, not a lot of square footage, probably also need updating or major renovations in some cases. In other circumstances, this would give you ammunition to negotiate. Not so when it comes to lake properties. If you're purchasing anything under $1 million on the lake with a dock, you can almost guarantee it either needs a lot of work or is on the smaller side. A trend I've been seeing a lot is people buying the bungalows as a teardown and then building their dream home from the ground up. Lake Lanier is interesting. As you drive around, you're going to notice $1 million properties that have just been built next to these 50s and 60s bungalows or even a double wide. It's just how it is around the lake, and it's something that you need to be prepared for. Growing up on Lake Lanier since like the 80s, 90s, one of the things that I've noticed that they've done over the years is adding neighborhoods on the water. The difference here is going to be if you're getting into a neighborhood, you've got the great benefit of having amenities like swim and tennis, but you're probably not going to have a specific dock that is for your home and boat. You're going to have what's called a community dock. Now, there's two different types of community docks. This is completely separate costs from purchasing your home. A few of the communities have dock slips. This is where you can actually lease it and you keep your boat there in the slip readily available to you. You're not maintaining the dock, which you would have had to do if you had your own personal dock, but you don't actually own the slip. Many of these communities are on a wait list with their dock slips though. So if this is a non-negotiable for you, we need to make sure that we're only looking at properties that have either a private dock or a boat slip that can transfer with the sale, even though you will be paying a separate fee for that slip outside of the closing. Other communities have community docks where you don't actually keep the boat here. You may keep the boat at a marina nearby, but you can dock the boat here at the neighborhood to pick up the family, drop them back off. Then you'll go back and dock the boat at the marina at the end of the day. This is a toss-up for a lot of people. You can have the neighborhood where you have the amenities. You're gonna have a little bit more stability when it comes to home pricing. Your neighborhood is gonna feel more cohesive. However, you're not gonna have the privacy of having your own dock, your own lot to walk down to that dock. So this truly is a personal preference. And while I will educate you on all of your options, the only person that can make this decision is you. I find a lot of people are shocked at the walk to the dock, and we're at the bottom of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's very hilly here. There are some lots that are gonna provide a much easier flat walk, but keep in mind, that is a luxury and you're going to pay for that. You'll also notice that there are a lot of trees around Lanier. This buffer of trees between the house and the water's edge is owned by the Army Corps of Engineers. The Army Corps of Engineers is very serious with the core property that goes around the lake, and they will not allow you to move trees. If a view is something that's important to you, let's talk about that up front and make sure that that is in our search criteria. Because if you think that for a moment you're going to buy a property, cut down the trees so that you can have that beautiful view, you're wrong. And if you try it, the Corps will fine you, and that could cost you thousands. It's really important as we start your home search that you have a very clear idea of what your non-negotiables are. Most people that are moving to the lake, they're moving here for the fact that they want to be on the water and they want to have a dock. And if that's you, then we need to make sure that we are looking at homes that only have dock permits, because the Army Corps of Engineers is no longer giving out dock permits. Sure, you could put your name on the list, but that list is years long, and currently the Corps has zero plans of issuing new permits in the future. We're also gonna look at the type of permit that the dock has. So let's say that it's permitted for a single slip dock. That's the only type of dock that you're gonna be able to have. You can't just up and take a single slip and decide, oh, well, I wanna build a double slip, because the Army Corps of Engineers is not going to give you a permit for that. They're taking into account how many docks are in that area, how many feet are between you and your neighbor. There's a lot more that goes into it, and you just can't up and change things. You're gonna have to make sacrifices. Living on the lake, you just can't have it all unless you have an endless budget to match that. What really matters most to you? Do you want the view, or do you want the private dock? Do you want the neighborhood but having the community dock? It really comes down to, what have you been thinking about when you've been dreaming about this lake home? If you're thinking about making a move, my team and I would love to be your realtor of choice. You can email me directly at ashley@myhaventeam.com. I hope to hear from you soon. See you next week.